Good evening, everybody. Today's gonna be a little quicker than usual. Not gonna last for a couple hours. Not much news to go over besides obvious the systematic bullshit that's going across the country. But let's get started. So first thing we want to talk about. I'll take it the title out. Title. Right. There it is. Up and loaded. All right, so let's get into the news. So, for those of you that don't know, a gentleman and his wife had an argument in Arizona. The argument led to the police getting called, and when the police showed up, they started running, checks on the gentleman as the wife was separated. A woman who claimed to be a wife. Now, while this ordeal is going down, there's nothing that they have to press charges or anything criminal. And the gentleman jumps over a gate and starts walking towards a river in Phoenix, or a lake. I'm sorry, it's a lake. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's not a lot of water in Arizona. There's probably one of the biggest lakes over in Arizona, from what I can tell. And what's interesting about this lake specifically is that once you enter the water, you can go 6 feet to 20 feet in about one step. So imagine you step down, it feels like it's 6 feet. If you go any further, it becomes 20 feet. Now, 20 feet's pretty deep. I think most people have been in like a 12-foot pool. 20 feet, you're going pretty far. The gentleman went into the water, proceeded to swim 30 to 40 yards, supposedly, according to the police, and then said he could no longer swim and requested help. The cops did nothing. They watched as the man pleaded for his help and for someone to help him. His wife pleaded with the cops to please go help him. There was 3 police officers, and they tried to help in a verbal way, but not one of them took any physical action. Now, there is video that we're going to show. What I would say about it is that some of the video is cut out because of obviously the sensitive nature of what occurred. But the man did perish. He drowned. And I do think that we need to understand the definition of cops. The reason why I say that is because from the arguments I've had with other people in my daily life, a lot of them seem to think that cops are something that they simply are not. And what I mean by that, a lot of people don't know that cops don't need to protect people. Cops actually have the right not to protect people. Their job is for kind of control, right? Asset control. They're there to detain and calm down the situation and keep everything under control. Now, with that being said, if a person is put into some type of situation that is dangerous, they don't have to risk their lives. Now, I'm not saying that they should risk their lives. And in this scenario, when we play the clip, I think we could get more into the information. So why don't we just look it up and go from there? So, we'll look at the NBC clip. There is a trigger warning for those of you that don't want to see this. Just come back in literally like 4 minutes. Just look away, right? It shouldn't get too graphic or violent, but obviously the man that you are looking at did eventually perish.
After 5 a.m., police arrived to check on what they describe as a physical disturbance call between Sean Bickings and his wife.
Did you guys get into a physical confrontation? Not at all.
At that point, the officers really don't.
So really important, they didn't get into a physical fight. They were just having a verbal argument at 5 o'clock in the morning in this area.
Have a reason to be there, but it would be nice if someone from social services who has a mental health background could have dealt with that.
Andy Anderson is a former assistant Phoenix police chief who agreed to look at the records that Tempe police have made available. The body camera video shows after officers spoke with his wife, they went to Bickings, making small talk while checking for warrants. After 4 minutes, Bickings...
So they start checking for warrants, and for whatever reason, the gentleman, he jumps over and he starts walking down. Now, remember, there has been nothing violent that has occurred up to this point. The wife said that there was nothing physical. It was all verbal. And the cops had them separated to talk to one and another. What's interesting here is that we are starting to see, I hope the country is starting to see, like, the mental health issue that is occurring. Not that every police officer needs this type of training, but in a team, there does need to be some type of, I want to say a psychologist, but somebody that at least understands mental health, right? So, and this person, we'll get more into the details. From what I remember, he is homeless. And this doesn't seem to be, I don't know if it's a cry for help or anything like that. We'll just let the video play and see what the gentleman does.
goes over the railing.
Well, in the reality, law enforcement did not have authority to detain him.
So, gentleman says, I'm going for a swim. I'm free to go. Cops are going to say, hey, you can't go in the water. One more thing. Also, they couldn't detain him. And because it's not a criminal violation to go into this water, it's a civil violation. So it's a fine. So they can't put their hands on the man. And if they did, I don't know what would have happened. I mean, it would have saved his life from what it seems like. So this is where the situation is tricky. Thus far, I think the cops are handling it quite well, as the video is showing. But what's about to occur, in the words that they say, is where shit goes downhill so fucking quick. It's weird to me how, especially after this shooting in Texas, the police have a chance to do something right, or at least try, right? And they just drop the ball so hard.
The officers stand there as the man just swims away. We hear an officer talking about getting a boat, and the video ends. Tempe police limited what they turned over in a public records request, claiming that the drowning itself is too sensitive, instead providing a partial transcript. That shows Bickings telling officers, I'm going to drown. They respond, swim to a pylon. When Bickings says he can't, an officer says, quote, okay, I'm not going in after you.
This is not a lake patrol team that has equipment to handle water rescue. These are street cops.
Bickings and his wife both plead for someone to do something. His wife telling an officer, quote, he's drowning right in front of you, and you won't help. Now, Tempe police would not clarify how much time these pages cover, but eventually, Bickings went underneath the water and never resurfaced.
I think it's heartbreaking. I think it's a tragic situation. It's awful.
It wouldn't be until nearly 6 hours later that Bickings' body was pulled from the lake. Now, Scottsdale Police and the Department of Public...
Now, if I'm walking by and somebody says they're drowning, my immediate reaction is, oh fuck, like, are they really drowning? Yes, they're really drowning. Let me jump in after them. I'm just a normal person. I think that not everybody has that mindset, and I also understand and respect that. Not everybody can swim, right? I think I'm a good enough swimmer where if even they were to try to like bring me down with them, I would be able to survive. But at least I know I try to help them. A cop. What's interesting about police officers is that they don't have the mentality that they need to help people. There's 3 police officers. If they're worried about their gear, there's 2 other police officers that can watch their gear. Now, I don't think it's against any police policy to go in after the gentleman. If they were scared of risking their life, I mean, it is Arizona, but I think they would know how to swim. At the very least, I'm not sure. One of them most likely knew how to swim. I think that's a fair statement to make. So I don't see how there's any excuse here. I do agree that going in after him, they may have died as well. There is that potential, but I don't know if that matters. If my job is to supposedly protect people, it doesn't. I'm gonna do what I can to save this person. Now, the truth is, the police aren't there to protect us, right? They come after the situation. They control the situation. and de-escalate. Let's see. Police have no duty to protect the public, though often unsaid in police reform debates. Numerous court precedents have established that cops aren't obligated to act in the interests of citizens. Last Wednesday, after a 24-hour search, a suspect was apprehended in New York City's Sunset Park subway shooting that injured at least 10 people. Amid the predictable gun control and police funding debates, it's fair to ask, why wasn't the NYPD more effective in responding to the situation? After the shooting, NYPD was faulted for not stopping the subway lines, having their radio and communication apparatuses malfunction, and exhibiting a plain lack of urgency. Indeed, some speculated that the only reason they caught the suspect was because he made it really easy for cops to catch him. All of these questions are situated in the traditional belief that police are there to proactively prevent and de-escalate dangerous situations. The average citizen has been convinced of this imagery of police as heroic and brave citizens. Which, I mean, look, New York shooting, Texas shooting, and what we saw in Arizona, that's 3 states, and there's obviously some type of systematic issue with a police force. I don't know what exactly that is, but in the military, as a veteran, we're all kind of taught to help each other, and I guess they force like a hero mentality into your mindset. Everybody wants, it's kind of fucked up because in the military, like if something bad happens, you want to be there so that you can be the one to help or save, or you can be part of the people so that you could come out stronger because you feel like a team. You feel like those are your brothers and sisters. However you want to look at it. In terms of police, it seems like there's some type of ego trip. Like I am better than you simply because I am a cop. I don't have to protect you. I don't have to do things for you. And there's also this thing that I am scared of dying. And I think it's fair, right? Police officers have every right to feel afraid of dying. But at the same time, the military kind of stomps that out of you. You go in for your brother or sister when they're getting shot at or they need help. That's what you're kind of trained to do. And it doesn't always hit with everybody, right? The point is that it does hit with some. And that's just enough. With police, it doesn't really hit, right? There is no, oh, I need to help somebody because they're in danger. Kids are in a room with an armed gunman. I don't need to push in to save the children. In that situation, I think most parents would say, fuck whatever the chief is saying outside, we're going in. Because we're hearing children scream. It's crazy that this mindset it isn't across the nation, right? This mindset that we should help people. Instead, it's we wait and we follow orders, or it's not my job to protect you. And I just don't understand it. I think when you're like a kid and you're like thinking about and you think about becoming like a police officer or something, your mind goes like down these path of like, oh, I want to protect people and I want to do all these things. And there's this cutoff somewhere between the teenager and becoming a cop, or maybe it's a few years down the road where like they just give up and they don't care about people anymore. And the Supreme Court is even backing them at this point. So one of the cops allegedly admitted that he did not intervene in the altercation because he thought someone had a gun, instead hiding from the attacker. This prompted a lawsuit which was lost, but not because the Manhattan Supreme Court judge didn't believe him, or because of lack of evidence, or because the cops had a good reason for not intervening, simply because cops do not have a duty to protect you or anyone. So, put bluntly, cops are not heroes. They're not brave. They are there for social control. And their lives are more important than your life or my life. As we have seen, again, in the Brooklyn shooting, the Texas shooting, and this Arizona drowning. Cops are not there to protect you. Mark, you in? Mark, you in?
Yo,
Did you hear everything I just said?
yeah, I heard everything you said.
Uh,
Well said, bro. Well said.
I do want to say again that like I understand why the cops don't want to jump in and save the person. But as a police officer, I don't know how to word this properly. I guess the best way of saying it is any American, any person should see a person in need and want to help them. And if it's a person drowning, you should just, if you are able to, you should go help them. That mindset is so outside of American thought and ideology that we walk amongst ourselves. Like in New York, it's a very like private place. We all keep to ourselves. But at the same time, when somebody falls down, it's really rare that you see people just walk by. They will help. Like one person will help. And it could be somebody that looks ragged as all hell. It could be someone that looks like they're in a complete business suit. It doesn't matter. People will just, it just happens, right? That's a huge sample size. And it's also anecdotal, obviously. But there's a lot of people in New York, so you're going to see stuff like that. When you see cops not acting in a way that an average citizen would, that is mind-boggling to me. Even if it's anecdotal, that is the example of what every police officer should strive to be. And I'm not saying that they should live with a hero mindset, hoping that somebody's going to fall into a water so that they have the opportunity to save them. But when you see this, you shouldn't say, I understand the jokes too, like, oh, how far will he swim? The second you see that man go down into the water and not come up, you should be diving in. That is the point of no return. That is the point where you are just watching a person die. An innocent person die, nonetheless. So, look, cops are not there to protect you. I'm not going to go as far as like shaming cops or shitting on cops. I just don't think cops are what we say that they are. And I should say I don't think. They aren't. They simply aren't. Legally, they are not. 2005, New York Times. Justices rule police do not have a constitutional duty to protect you. Oh my God. Fucking crazy. Mark, what do you think?
What do I think? Yeah, I mean, basically what you said. Like,
Mark
I
hates cops, by the way. Like, I don't hate cops as much as
no,
Mark does.
no, I
But
don't
Mark,
hate cops. No, that's a lie. You're lying. I don't hate cops. I just don't like the system of policing that we have right now. I think it's awful, super inefficient, and leads to more harm than good. Um, yeah, just basically what you said. Like, for that drowning guy. I don't know if you're still talking about that, but like it's hard to imagine myself in that situation and not at least like try to help him.
I think that like watching the clip again, they don't think he was gonna drown. That's a very fair thing to say. They're making
Well,
jokes, and he
but
swims pretty far.
that's what I mean though, but like uh, he could have been on drugs. He could have been having a manic episode. Like you don't know these things, so you got to fully expect like you know what I mean? Like you don't know that person.
I agree with you, and obviously he just got into a heated argument with his wife. But again, I understand why the cops are kind of joking around. Like, I'm not going to shit on the cops for joking around. Like, how far is he going to swim? Or, hey, I'm not jumping in after you. Because in the military, we would say the same kind of shit. Like, dude, I'm not jumping in after you. I just watch you swim 20 yards. You actually swim like 30 to 40. Like, go to the pylon. But once I start seeing that person react in a way that I know they are not fooling around, I'm jumping in. I would have been ready to jump in. I would have gotten to the point of like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get back. And once like they're like, I need help, that's it, dude. Jump in. The worst case scenario here is that the cop dies that tried to save the person. Now, that is, but at the same time, I feel like that's a risk that every single cop should be willing to take. And if a cop isn't willing to take that risk, then they should. That our police system is fucked. That is evidence within itself that those police officers are not there to help anyone.
I I'm just saying I feel like if a firefighter was there, they would have jumped in and helped. And this is why firefighters are cool.
The Phoenix police chief, said he wished that there were social service officers that would have been in this case because he thinks that that would have helped. Um,
Interesting.
and it's interesting to think that like, especially in a place as conservative as Phoenix, and a fucking retired chief is saying something like that. But at the same time, it makes sense. There should be a person on every task force or every team that is dedicated there for mental health. Because someone who's having like a manic episode or who's like on drugs, they shouldn't die simply because I don't want to say because of something not outside of their control. But there's no reason for that person to have died. Like there's no reason why this person should have drowned. Anybody could have jumped in and saved him, and we would have had another person here with us that we no longer do because cops didn't want to act. Just what's crazy is that the wife said some like she's like, he's drowning. I promise you, he's drowning. Like, why are you guys just watching my husband drown? Can you please jump in and save my husband? Y'all aren't doing anything. And it's like, it's wild that the wife was there watching her husband drown. To the point where supposedly the cops were even aggressive towards her, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense. The cops are always I feel like the cops are aggressive to people that just want to help. I
Yeah,
don't know
like
if
the
it's because
parents at
they
the
don't
Texas
want.
shooting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a control thing or they just want to like they just don't want more people to get hurt. I don't know what it is, but I don't think they're doing it correctly.
All right, well, I saw something about a Florida Walmart, and recently I went to Florida a few months ago, like 6 months ago now. And I went into a Walmart, and it was the scariest thing I've ever been in. And I'm gonna watch this clip just to bring me back to happiness. Fuck Florida. If you're from Florida, follow, but I don't like your state.
Nice. Rob, did you see what I sent? Just watch that. Well, it's like a 10-second clip, and it's so peaceful, dude. I want to go. I want to live there.
Mark, hold on, you ready for this?
Yeah, dude, I'm fucking ready. But if you're in a Walmart in Florida, that's rock bottom, bro. There's no you can't go any lower than that.
Now.
It's like the worst place to be.
Drop the knife now! Drop it now! Drop the knife! Drop the knife now!
I can't hear it, by the way, but that's okay.
On stream. I don't want to, like, because I have to keep changing the video.
That's fine. You're fine.
He's just saying, drop the knife, and she's like, fuck you.
Drop it! Get back.
So this lady walked into a store, opened a knife, and she started threatening people with the knife at a Walmart.
Back up. Drop the knife now! Drop it.
He's just saying, drop it. And she's like, no, I'm not dropping it.
Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop it now. Put it down.
Like, this situation, like, the cop is honestly giving this lady a lot of opportunities. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, dude. First of all, walking into a Walmart in Florida with a knife is crazy.
No, she didn't walk in. She opened a knife in a Walmart and started saying she was gonna hurt people.
Yeah, Florida's a stand your ground state, so automatically this is crackhead behavior. If this was anyone besides a white woman or
Dude
a
would
white
have been
guy,
tased already.
fuck tased, fucking shot, dude, like
Well,
6 times.
Okay, I hear you. But I think this is the proper way of policing so far.
I mean, yeah,
I wish they were any other color, right?
What?
I wish she was a different color, but
I don't, because this person being white just saved someone's life. Like,
I guess it would be nice to see, like,
I know what
hey,
you mean. Is the person pregnant or are they? Because if they're you're tasing a pregnant person, that's kind of wild.
well, okay, so I thought about that too. I don't want to say it, but like, it is confusing to me, right? Because if you're a cop, I don't know what's better, and I'm sure they do. But if you're a cop and you see a woman that has a belly that might be pregnant, is tasing ops like?
It's Florida, so it could be 50-50.
I wonder. No, we're not. I'm not even gonna get into that. But like, I wonder what they think. Like, what goes through their mind.
I'll look it up because I actually don't know.
I would be interested. Like, if you hurt, like in Texas, if you shoot a woman who's pregnant and they have a miscarriage, does my mind is broken. Just because the lady that had a miscarriage who's in jail right now. It'd be interesting to see. But let's watch the clip.
Put the knife down. Put it down. Put the knife down. Put it down now. Put the knife down. Put it down. Drop it. Drop the knife. Put it down. Put the knife down. Put the knife down. Drop the knife. Drop the knife.
Dude, he had his gun out. Mark.
Huh? What?
I didn't realize. So he has his pistol out.
That's not a
And-
taser?
No, that was a gun.
Oh.
So he's waiting for his backup to arrive so that when backup arrives, he can now use the non-lethal force. So the second backup arrives, he does this.
Drop the knife
Is
now.
that the
That's the taser.
is that the protocol? Like, is that what you do?
Drop the
Makes
knife.
sense.
Bro, she folded like a lawn chair, dude.
What happens, right?
You ever been tased?
Not from one of those, no.
I don't wanna
You want to tase each other?
try. Probably fucking
Probably hurts, bro.
probably doesn't feel good.
Dude, we should play pub golf, and one of the rounds should be like the loser gets tased. Oh no! Everybody that gets tased gets like -3 or some shit.
No, because one of us is gonna have a heart attack.
Why would we have a heart attack?
You can get a heart attack from getting tased. Or you can go into cardiac arrest.
I think we'll be alright. I believe in us.
Okay. I think don't okay, I don't know if this is a myth. Do cops get tased during training? I think cops, don't they get tased like
They might actually. I'm not too sure.
during my academy training, you have to send taser certification, but you volunteered. Okay, so you can volunteer to get tased.
So, did you find anything about pregnancy and cops?
There have been some cases where it's led to miscarriage. But there's no like official study or anything on it, or at least I couldn't find one.
California man is facing a charge of attempted murder after his arrest near the home of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Nicholas Rosk had planned to murder honestly, it's a fucking politician. I'm gonna say names, probably show face. Not a mass murderer or something to that extent. Suspect was taken into custody at about 1 local time, so 1 a.m. Protection for justices has been beat up ahead of landmark ruling on abortion rights. According to an affidavit filed in U.S. District Court, Mr. Ross was spotted by 2 deputy marshals while getting out of a taxi in front of a Supreme Court justice's home, carrying a suitcase and a backpack. Soon after, local emergency services took a call from a man who identified himself as Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross said he was having suicidal thoughts, had a gun, and had come from California to kill a specific United States Supreme Court justice. Local police officers sent to the justice's home and arrested Mr. Ross.
Yeah, this person's clearly not okay.
Glock 17 pepper spray. He was asked a series of questions. I mean, I'm glad nobody died.
Yeah.
I see. This is what's weird, right? Like, in your mind, how long should this person go to jail for?
I mean, it depends if he has any mental issues.
I mean, he has suicidal thoughts, so we can say yes.
I don't know if this is his first offense, like a couple years, year or two, rehab. Definitely shouldn't have any guns. Definitely should take away his guns.
Never should be able to buy a gun.
Yeah.
Probably should have to go to some type of rehabilitation for the next few years until able to live in society again.
Yeah.
He faces up to a maximum of 20 years in federal prison.
Okay.
Isn't that sad?
I
Like, this
mean,
person's obviously having mental health issues,
it's not
and
surprising.
it's not unfixable. It's just this person is somewhat sick, and
It's not
rather
surprising.
than heal them, I know it's not surprising. It's just
Bro, this is what
it's
we do, bro. We just fucking just lock people away. Problem solved. Another criminal off the streets. Look at this. First of all, can we? Do you see what I see, Rob?
a thumb.
Perfect thumb posture. Look at that. Look at that piggy.
Everybody, hold on one second. We're gonna do a quick thumb check.
Thumb
For
check,
those of
yeah.
you that are new to the channel, a thumb check is when we see someone, typically a police officer, and we just try to see how close to a thumb do they look. Dude, that's pretty close. That's a fucking thumb head.
That's a dummy boy.
The thummy boy. Dude, dude, listen, maybe you have hormonal issues. Maybe you're just stressed out. Maybe, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But listen, if you're not fit, I'm not fit myself. So I'm not saying me. But I'm just saying, if you're not fit, you should not be a police officer.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like you're
like
more.
I don't like fat shaming, right? But if you're like, if you have the legal authority to kill somebody, I feel like you should at least be fit.
Okay, so hold on. Hear me out on this, right? It's not so much of fat shaming. If someone that's fat can run, right? I'm okay with it. If this dude can run fucking 5 miles in whatever time, I'm okay. I just know they don't have standards. So I'm not saying I care about your weight. I just know that there is no standards, so I immediately make the assumption that he cannot run. He looks like a thumb. He can't run. I look like a thumb. I'm sure if I shaved my head and I was in police, I can run. I'm a big boy, but I can still run. I can run like an 8-minute mile or so. You know, I don't think he can run under a 10-minute mile. And I think that's a problem, you know? Maybe it's just me, but that's an issue. And the reason why it's an issue, simply put, like Mark said, they have the authority to kill people. So if Thumb goes on a run and gets out of breath, I am worried that will cause a shooting. He may
Sure,
not
it's
be able
happened
to
before.
respond properly. Well, I know,
He's
like
I think, dude, I forgot. There was this guy running away from this cop. This was not Philando Castile. I don't remember. I'm blanking on his name. I want to say 2017. A cop handcuffed this guy, tased him, and then he managed to get away, and then he started running away. And I guess the cop just didn't feel like chasing after him, so he just fucking unloaded a clip. I don't know. It's not that he ran out of breath. It's just I genuinely just think he didn't feel like running after him because it's not like the guy didn't have a gun or anything. Like he just got handcuffed, patted down, everything, and he was like running away, and the cop just like unloaded a clip on him.
well, I think okay, we don't even have to say like they're out of breath. It's just like it's also the fact that when you're not physically fit, it's hard to think under more stressful situations.
Ah,
And you're dealing with like some of the worst stress you'll ever deal with, anybody will ever deal with. So I just think having a fitness standard, and again, I don't care how much they weigh or what they look like. That is not what I'm saying. There should be a physical fitness standard.
yeah. Anyway,
So we started with
Mo-
police, then we
moving on
went
from
to the
child
justice
psychology.
system. But now we're gonna go to, I think it's Albany, New York.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Hundreds of cockroaches were released in a court
Oh
in
yeah.
upstate New York.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Clash broke out during proceedings in Albany City Court for 4 people for an arrest at the state capitol. A defendant who started to film the courtroom proceedings was told to stop. In the altercation that followed, hundreds of cockroaches brought into the courthouse in plastic containers were released. The bug release was being investigated while the courthouse was closed for the rest of the day for fumigation. A 34-year-old woman in the audience was arrested for charges
Fucking-
related to the altercation.
She unleashed the horde, dude. Fucking her army.
Is there videos of this?
Why, bro? This should have if they released like thousands of rats, that would have been the most New York thing ever, and I would have applauded the person. Also, why? Why did they do this? As a distraction?
I think so.
While the person gets away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll never catch us now.
All right.
Shit, dude. Dude, look at them. So it seems like for an arrest at the state capitol.
That's pretty funny.
I
You think they're gonna charge this person with like bioterrorism or something?
dude, imagine. This is harmless. This is like community service for 6 months
Yeah.
and a fine. Like this isn't jail time.
Oh, speaking of our absolutely fucked justice system, did you see the Supreme Court ruling about um what ICE can do?
ICE.
ICE, yeah, Border Patrol. Or
Not border.
well,
Patrol. I know what
not
you
Border
mean.
Patrol, ICE.
When?
I'm pretty sure it was today. Today or yesterday. It was like a 6-3 decision that if you're within 100 miles of a border like facility, I don't know exactly what you'd call it. ICE can like just break down your door, beat the shit out of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Even if
Oh,
you
okay,
are
okay.
a legal immigrant or just like
Critics
a citizen.
critics say the decision makes it nearly impossible to hold federal police accountable for excessive force. It said that's a job for Congress, not the federal courts. Whatever. Like I don't. Well, hold on. How is that a job for Congress and not the Supreme? I don't understand. I guess I'd actually let me read it. Just water. Stay
Oh,
hydrated, okay, Yetis. Stay
super.
hydrated. By the way, these are our Yetis. All our watchers are Yetis.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second, Mark. Charlie has a good idea. Talk about it later. She wants like little Yetis at the bottom instead of like little Pokemons. But I don't know any. I would have to like draw. I'll figure it out. Anyways, it is generally the job of Congress to allow Americans to sue federal police for excessive force violations under the Fourth Amendment, not the courts. Congress is better positioned to create remedies in a border security context. The government already has provided alternative remedies that protect plaintiffs. Associate Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissented from the court's ruling on the Fourth Amendment claim, asserting that it contravenes precedent and will strip many more individuals who suffer injuries at the hands of other federal officers of an important remedy. Americans may file civil rights lawsuits against state and local police, but the law doesn't apply to federal law enforcement. The key question that has divided lower courts is the scope of the 1971 precedent. Does it permit suits against federal police in other circumstances, or must the facts of a lawsuit closely match the warrantless search involved in Bivens? Is it Bivens or Bivens? I don't really know much about this case. Agents with what was the Federal Bureau of Narcotics searched the home of a man without a warrant. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so whatever agency dealt with drugs at the time, not the FBI, but it was like an offshoot of the FBI, they don't exist anymore. They broke into somebody's house without a warrant, beat the shit out of them, and like were looking for drugs. I don't think they found any. And the guy sued the federal government and said, this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and he won because, you know, I I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like they did violate the Fourth Amendment.
So let's see. Robert Bully, let's just say Bully, owner of Smugglers Inn near the Canadian border in Washington State, said the customs agent used excessive force by pushing him to the ground. The agent, Eric, was on Bully's property at the time and seeking to speak with one of the inn's guests. Bully intervened and asked Egbert to leave. Bully also claimed that Egbert violated his First Amendment rights by retaliating when he called his superiors at the agency to complain. Said that Egbert responded by asking the IRS to investigate. A federal district court dismissed the case against the Border Patrol agent. That's interesting. But the California-based U.S. Court of Appeals reversed it. Wait, so, but he can still sue them. I don't understand. But they set a precedent, but he can still bring them to court. I guess I don't fully understand this decision.
I'll see if I can link you something.
The Supreme Court has been hesitant to permit lawsuits if they raise new claims under new circumstances, arguing that it's Congress that should authorize those lawsuits, not the federal courts. Thomas wrote that when deciding whether to expand the circumstances under which a Bivens lawsuit may be filed, courts must consider whether there's any reason to think that Congress might be better equipped to create a damages remedy. That's what the vote is. So basically, the vote is like, we're not saying it's right or wrong, but Congress needs to deal with it, not us.
I think the reason everyone's bringing it up because it said somewhere in there it's like if you're within 100 miles of a border, they can do this to you, and you have no recourse in the federal court.
That seems not. I mean, let's look more into it. But
I'm probably oversimplifying it, but
because like the whole 100 miles thing, like Border Patrol is all over the country. Why does it have to be near a border? ICE is like one of the biggest reasons how like ICE. Look, as much as people hate ICE, and I understand why because of what they do down south, there's a lot of good that ICE does in terms of catching like sex predators and human traffickers. We've almost universally decided. Major part of the argument was a centered on which federal police agencies may be liable. Qualified immunity is illegal. A federal dismissed the chorus, but the high course not getting shit.
hold on.
I mean Vox would fucking have it. Like,
Oh, okay.
Vox is pretty good. Well, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're alright.
The plaintiff in this case, Robert Bully, is admittedly a somewhat shady figure. Bully operates a bed and breakfast along the border between Washington State and Canada, one cheekily named the Smugglers Inn. Though Bully at times acted as a paid confident informant for immigrant officials, his guest sometimes uses property to illegally cross the border. According to Thomas's opinion, federal agents also have seized from the inn shipments of cocaine, methamphetamine, ecstasy, and other narcotics. Nevertheless, Bully argues that he was a victim of a fairly straightforward Fourth Amendment violation. So the person here is somewhat shady, which is probably playing into this. Bully became a guest who had recently arrived in the United States from Turkey. The guest welcomed the guest. The guest was lawfully present in the United States, but Federal Border Patrol agent Eric Egbert decided to confront his guest when he arrived at Smugglers Inn. Upon the arrival, Egbert drove into Bully's property and approached the car containing the guest. Egbert refused to leave. So basically, the Border Patrol agency was like, who the fuck is this guy? The owner of the land was like, hey man, get the fuck off my land. It becomes a conflict, and the Border Patrol agency shoves the owner against the car, grabs him, and pushes him to the ground. This leads to a lawsuit saying that this is excessive force. Before Wednesday's decision in Egbert, in other words, it was well established that federal law enforcement officers who use unconstitutionally excessive force may be sued in federal court. Egbert explicitly exempts all Border Patrol agents from this rule, and it could be read to exempt nearly all, if not all, federal law enforcement. Okay. So Bivens can no longer be used for federal. I get it. like at all. I don't know where you got the whole 100 miles thing, but I mean that's crazy. Like y'all think police officers are bad. Federal police is the fucking worst. So I don't know. Please use a key from 347. All right. Well, with that being said, I'm done with news for today.